Alright, to start our scarf we are going to start with a slip knot on our hook, and then we are going to start chaining, and we're going to chain 54. So we just yarn over as normal, turn our hook down and pull through the loop on our hook. I point down so I get through easy. If I keep my hook facing me or facing up it gets caught, so I just point it straight down and it pulls through easily. If you are wanting to make an even wider scarf or even a blanket out of this pattern, you could. You want to add multiples of 10 to your chain, and if you want to make your scarf skinnier, so if you want to make it like maybe 6 inches wide instead of the width that it is, you can reduce it by multiples of 10. So I would probably start at maybe like 34 for a 6-inch scarf, and as big as you need to make it as wide as you want. You could do a shawl out of this or a full blanket, so totally up to you. But we're going to go ahead and get to 54 chains, and then we will begin row 1. I've got my 54 chains, and now we are ready to begin row 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double crochet in the 4th chain from my hook. So I'm going to skip these first 3 chains. Never skip the loop on your hook, that's just your working loop. And I'm going to double crochet into the 4th chain. So the first 3 skip chains are going to count as a double crochet. So this is kind of like putting 2 double crochets in 1 stitch. It's kind of an increase on the end of our row. So I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to go ahead and just do the back loop. It's whatever you prefer. I'm going to stick with the back loop for this one. I'm going to yarn over, pull up my loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, and then yarn over and pull through the second 2. And you see I always push my loops to my shaft, and that's going to give me even stitches throughout the whole scarf so that my gauge hopefully will stay pretty consistent. Sometimes if you're stressed or you're happy, you might make your gauge a little looser or tighter than normal, but for the most part it should stick to my 5.5 millimeter gauge. So now I'm going to double crochet in my next 3 stitches, so 1 double crochet in each. So yarn over, insert into your next foundation chain, pull through the first 2, pull through the second 2. And again, I always point my hook down when I pull through. You'll see that I push and turn and then push and pull. And it gives me the even stitches, and the pointing down gets me through all of my loops nice and easy. Now we are going to do our decrease. So this decrease is a little special because we're going to create kind of a little space when we do it. So what I found is I am going to begin with a double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to insert my hook in my next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and I'm going to do just the first step, yarn over and pull through the first 2. And then I'm going to stop. And now I'm going to chain 1. I found by doing this chain I get a little bit extra in the space that I want to create. Without that chain, it's not as noticeable as I want it, so I do that extra chain to kind of take the place of the double crochet I'm not doing in the next stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to skip this next stitch, and then I'm going to insert my hook in the stitch after to complete this decrease. So I'm going to yarn over, pull up my loop, yarn over, pull through just the first 2. So it's kind of like creating a DC 2 together, or a double crochet 2 together, except I'm putting that one little chain in between in between the 2 DCs. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through all 3 loops on my hook. So you see that that chain kind of helps create this space. Let me just show you real quick without the chain what it looks like. So if you don't really like the space, you can skip that extra chain, but I like the look that the space gives me. So you can see my space is much more closed without that chain. So I just have the skip stitch, but I don't have much look to that space. So that's why I put that extra chain in there. So again, I'm going to pull through the first 2, stop, chain 1, yarn over, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up my loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through all 3. So you can see that my hole is much larger now. Now I'm going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches. This is a very simple pattern once you understand that stitch and then the post stitching that I'm going to be doing on our increase. And do 3 double crochets, and then I'm going to start increasing on this next stitch. This first row is going to be different from the rest because I'm not doing any post stitching. This is just going to be 3 double crochets in this one stitch. Go 1, go back in the same stitch, 2, and then back in the same stitch for 3. And then I kind of repeat the whole process over. Now I'm going to double crochet my next 3 stitches, and then I'll get back to that decrease again. So it's basically what we're doing all the way across, is putting 3 double crochets in between each decrease and increase. So just look at what you did before to see what you have to do next. So we did decrease, increase, now we need a decrease. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull through the first 2, stop, chain 1, yarn over, skip 1 stitch, go in the next, pull up, yarn over, pull through the first 2, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. And then another 3 double crochet. So keep on going across, and we'll meet up right at the end of the row so you can see what we need to do to finish it off. And then we will start the next row with our post stitches. Okay, I'm at the very last stitch of the row. I finished with a decrease and then 3 double crochets. Now I'm going to match what I did at the beginning of the row, which was those 2 double crochets. So I'm going to do 2 double crochets in my last chain, not the second to last. Put 2 just regular double crochets in there. And now we are ready for row 2 and our post stitches, which are not that difficult. Okay, so we're going to chain 3 to begin our row, so it's going to count as a double crochet. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I just did. I'm going to double crochet in that same spot. So I'm doing another 2 double crochets in 1 stitch, just like we did on the previous row. That's going to be the beginning of every single row that we do. Now we're going to do 3 double crochets. So 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. We're basically doing the exact same thing that we did in the row below, but we're just going to put a post stitch in our increase. So now we're going to do our decrease. So we have 3 stitches here. We're going to decrease. We're going to put the beginning of a double crochet here, chain 1, skip that middle stitch, and then go into the next stitch, begin our double, and then finish it all off. So now you can see that space is a little bit bigger. We're going to do 3 double crochets here. Now comes the fun part, the post stitch, which is really not that bad if you've never done them before. I have my 3 double crochets. Now I should be at the middle of my increase of the row below. So you see here, this one is with this double crochet. Now I'm at the middle of the 3. So check when you're making your double crochets that when you're doing your increase, you're in the middle of that stitch and you didn't miss one. So the first thing I'm going to do is just a regular double crochet. So I'm going to go right into that stitch and do a regular double crochet. Now I'm going to do my front post double crochet. So this is going to be a yarn over, and it's called a front post because I'm going to put the front of the post in, or I'm bringing my yarn through the back, but it's going to bring out the front of the post. So the front is facing and pushing out this way. So what I do is I go around the post of the double crochet of the row below. So it's very easy to see because it's nice and big. I'm going around that entire thing. So I yarn over first, then I go between the first and second double crochet of the increase, and I come out between the second and third double crochet of the increase. Then I'm going to yarn over, so I kind of just bring my yarn straight down to catch it. And I'm going to pull through the post and bring it up. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the second 2. And now I've got the beginning of my straight cable that's coming all the way up the scarf. The next stitch is going to be my third double crochet of this increase. So if you look, you can't really see the stitch that I was working into with this first double crochet, so you kind of got to go sideways to find it. So here's that double crochet that I worked into, here's the stitch that we worked into, so we're just going right back in. So you go right back into that same stitch the very first double crochet was made into, pull up your loop, pull through the first two, pull through the second two, and now we have our post made. So let me go to the next one and I'll repeat it. Okay, I'm at the next increase here, and you can see I have the 3, so I'm working in that middle one, so I'm going to do my first double crochet, then I'm going to do my front post double crochet, so I yarn over, find that middle post of the row below, and go between the first and second and come out the second and third. So I have that post. Bring your yarn down to grab it and pull through. Pull it up a little, because if you start doing your double crochet here, it's a little bit squished. So just pull it up slightly so that you have a little bit more room to work. Pull through the first 2 and pull through the second 2. Then again, we're going to do one more, so if you need to, turn your work and find where that double crochet is going into. If you kind of pull on it, you'll see where that hole is as well, where that first stitch went. You're going through that small hole, not this big hole. That's where the actual post is attached. You'd end up doing kind of a strange dipped double crochet, so make sure you're going above this line here, just under those 2 loops. Pull through and pull through. Then we're doing 3 double crochets, just like the row below. And you'll be back at your decrease. You're going to do decrease just like you did the row below. So you're just basically copying what you did in the previous row, with the exception of adding that post stitch. So continue that across, and then we're going to do row 3, which is the only other different row, because we're going to be doing a back post double crochet instead of a front post, so that we can keep those linked. So I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Okay, we're at that last stitch again, and it's actually the chain 3, so make sure that you are working into that chain 3. You're going to put 2 double crochets in the top, or the third chain, the top of that chain 3. Alright, so now we are ready for row 3. We're in chain 3 as normal, put a double crochet in that first stitch as normal. We're going to do 3 double crochets. You thought I was going to say as normal, huh? Then we are going to decrease again. So you should be a pro at this decrease now. Chain 1. Just don't forget that chain 1, otherwise you might have a closed up space when you're trying to look at your scarf and you see all those opens and then all of a sudden there's a closed one. Most people won't notice it, but you will, because we always see our mistakes. Alright, now we are back to our middle stitch, which is actually our front post of row 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, and they're a little bit closer together now because the front post is right on top of the other 2, but we're still just working into that 1 stitch for our increase. So we're going to do a double crochet first. There's still 2 loops like normal to go through. Now we're going to do a back post double crochet, and we're going, because it's in the back, we're going around the post that we made from the previous row. So I'm used to being able, I can just grab it without really looking at it, and by the end of this scarf you probably will too if you've never done this. But what you can do if you are having trouble seeing it, because remember it sticks up, you can just pull on it if you need to. Just pull it straight up and make the hole. So you can pull on it, and then you're going right underneath, right to left. Then you're going to yarn over. So this yarn over is a little strange when you pull it through, because you don't want to lose it, because it you're coming up and through. It's a little bit different than most yarn overs. It feels a little strange sometimes, but yarn over, go through the post. So you can see I can just kind of slide right under it, but if you need to, turn around and grab it. So just bring from top to bottom, yarn over, pull through, so I'm still pointing down to get it through, then pull up, yarn over, pull through the first two, pull through the second two. Then we're gonna, it's a little bit easier to see this stitch to work back into because it's facing us. So you can see here's that double crochet, and then there's our hole that we worked into. So again, only go under those 2 loops. And then when we do that, we have our increase and we have a continuation of our cable going up our scarf. So then we're going to do 3 double crochets again, our decrease again, and then keep on continuing with the pattern. Just whatever you see below is what you're going to do above. So hit our decrease, and now we're going to do our decrease. This is basically it for the whole pattern. Nice easy pattern once you get the repeats down, once you remember what to do. You can watch some TV because you don't really need to count. Counting to 3 is about the highest you have to go. Here's 3. Now I'm going to do my post again. So I do first double crochet, then I yarn over. I can grab my post nice and easy without looking, pull through, and then double crochet back in. So get this cool raised line in between each chevron as we continue up.